Imagine a world where the balance of global power is shifting right before our eyes. For decades, the European Union has relied heavily on the United States, not just for security under NATO, but also for trade, technology, and economic stability. But today, something extraordinary is happening. Europe is looking east, not west. The EU is actively seeking new trade deals, and at the center of this strategy is India, the world's fastest-growing major economy and an emerging global power. Why India? Why now? And what does this mean for the future of geopolitics, the United States, and the global order as we know it? Tonight, we will dive deep into this game-changing story, the EU's push to build stronger economic ties with India to reduce dependency on the US, and why this could be one of the most significant developments of the decade. To understand the drama unfolding today, we need to start with context. After World War II, Europe rebuilt itself with American help through the Marshall Plan, and for decades since, it has leaned on the US for military protection and economic partnership. NATO became the backbone of European security. American technology companies became indispensable. And American financial power dominated Europe's economic system. But times are changing. Washington's politics are unpredictable. Transatlantic trade spats have increased. And Europe has seen firsthand how over-reliance on a single partner can create vulnerabilities. Remember what happened when Europe depended too heavily on Russian gas? The Ukraine war exposed the danger of putting all eggs in one basket. Now, Brussels is determined not to make the same mistake with the United States. Diversification is the new buzzword, and India is at the center of that diversification. India today is not the India of 20 years ago. It is the world's fifth largest economy, racing toward becoming the third largest by the end of the decade. It is a young, dynamic, consumer-driven nation with over 1 billion people hungry for growth, technology, and opportunity. For the EU, partnering with India means tapping into this vast market, securing supply chains, and creating a counterbalance to both American and Chinese dominance. For India, closer trade ties with the EU mean access to advanced technologies, investment, and a chance to strengthen its position as a global manufacturing hub. The chemistry is clear. Its timing is perfect. But the road ahead is anything but simple. Here's where the geopolitics kicks in. By seeking trade deals with India, Europe is sending a strong signal. It does not want to be caught in a dependency trap with Washington. The EU respects its alliance with the US, but it also wants freedom of maneuver, especially as global politics become more fragmented. The rise of protectionism in America, tariff wars, and the weaponization of trade have shaken European confidence. Add to that Washington's tough stance on issues like climate, subsidies, and sanctions, and it becomes clear why Europe wants alternatives. India offers that alternative: fast growth, democratic governance, and a willingness to engage. But at the same time, this creates a subtle tension. Will the United States view EU-India closeness as a threat to transatlantic unity? Or will Washington quietly welcome Europe shouldering more of its own economic responsibilities? For India, this is both an opportunity and a delicate balancing act. New Delhi knows that Europe wants it as a partner to reduce dependence on both America and China. But India also values its relationship with Washington, especially in defense and technology. So India has to play its cards carefully, deepening ties with Brussels without alienating Washington and maximizing leverage from both sides. This is classic Indian strategic autonomy in action, and it's one reason why India's diplomacy is admired around the world. Now, let's consider what's at stake. A trade deal between India and the EU would be massive. The EU is already one of India's largest trading partners. And both sides have been negotiating a free trade agreement on and off for over a decade. Sticking points like tariffs on cars, dairy, and intellectual property rights have slowed progress. But now, with geopolitical urgency, the momentum is back. Both sides want the deal sealed by the end of 2025. If successful, it could reshape global trade flows, open up billions in new investments, and elevate India into the heart of Europe's economic strategy. But let's not forget the challenges. Europe has concerns about India's purchases of Russian oil, its stance on the Ukraine conflict, and its environmental policies. India has concerns about market access, visa rules, and protectionism within Europe. Both sides will have to compromise, and that's never easy in politics. Still, the bigger picture is undeniable. The EU needs India, and India is ready to engage. From a global perspective, this is fascinating. Imagine the ripple effects. The EU deepens trade with India, its dependence on the US reduces. That means more independence in foreign policy decisions, more room to maneuver in dealing with China, and more confidence in setting its own agenda. For the US, this could mean a slight erosion of influence over Europe. For China, it could mean a new competitor in the European market. And for India, it means elevation into the league of global economic power brokers. This is not just a trade story, it's a power story. Think about how this plays at home. For the EU, leaders can tell their people that they are securing jobs, markets, and independence by engaging with India. For Modi's government in India, closer EU ties show that the world respects India as a serious global partner. It's a political win for both sides. But make no mistake, this is also a strategic move designed to shift the balance of power in the international system. Every container ship sailing from Mumbai to Rotterdam is not just carrying goods, it's carrying a message that the world is becoming more multipolar, more balanced, and less dominated by a single superpower. Yet, the gamble remains. Will the EU and India be able to overcome their differences fast enough to finalize a meaningful trade agreement? Will Washington quietly step aside, or will it pressure Brussels not to go too far? Will India's balancing act between Russia, the US, and the EU hold steady under pressure? These are the questions that make this story so compelling, because the answers will shape the global order for years to come. So here we are in 2025, watching history unfold. Europe wants less dependency on America. India wants greater global clout. Both see in each other the partner they need. This is more than economics. More than politics, it is about the future of power itself. If the EU and India succeed in forging a strong trade alliance, it will mark the beginning of a new era, one where New Delhi and Brussels sit at the heart of global decision-making, and where the United States has to adjust to a world in which it is no longer the sole anchor of European strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just another trade deal. This is a tectonic shift, and the question we must ask is simple. Will India and the EU rise to the occasion, or will old habits and new pressures derail the moment? One thing is certain, what happens next will be remembered as a turning point in the story of global geopolitics.